Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Sorry for the Wait. We are actually going to remix this up a little bit instead of doing some fake sponsors today. Today's episode is sponsored by the Any Which Way podcast. Any Which Way is hosted by our good friend Nick and his friend Chelsea, who we have not met yet.
But we'll hopefully meet someday soon.
Yeah, we're hoping to work with them in the future. And the best way to describe this podcast is that it's an overused word, but it's a good vibe. It's a great podcast to have on and just kind of take in while you're chilling out. And we're really, really excited with what Nick and Chelsea have been able to do with their show so far. And so we really hope that you go look them up, subscribe to them. They are on SoundCloud, Apple, Spotify. They're everywhere, and we hope to work with them in the future. But as always, folks, this is Sorry for the Wait. Here we go. Fired up, ready to go. Welcome to the show, folks. This is Sorry for the Wait, a weight loss podcast for regular people by regular people. I am your host, Seth.
And I am your host, Strawberry.
Woo woo.
Whoop, whoop.
So, like we said before in our sponsor for today's episode, Any Which Way, I mean, we've listened to a lot of Nick's podcast, and we're big fans. I mean,
to me, honestly, I think my favorite part about it is it just feels like such a natural conversation that you just get to listen in on.
Yeah, and I think it's cool with podcasting too, especially because like they're still in their infancy, just like we are too.
Right.
It's awesome to see the growth. Like, you know what I mean? Kind of the growth in the flow. Because like first episodes are always, I mean, like the McElroy brothers told us, your first episode is always bad. Like, and when you have that mindset, it's so much easier to improve. Right. As you keep going. And so we're really, really excited to see where Nick and Chelsea take their podcast, and we're super excited to work with them on something in the future too.
Yeah, definitely give them a listen.
Yeah, so we're really excited about that. So how you doing, man?
I'm good. But before we get into our weeks, I just have a quick question for you.
Are we going to probably trade off, just keep trying to do this?
Maybe.
Okay.
So did your parents, when you were growing up, ever have a food hiding spot where they would hide their food so that you couldn't get to it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Where was it?
It was the alcohol cabinet. Because, I mean, people who don't know me, you're going to find this out, but people who do know me pretty well is that, like, I'm not a big drinker.
Yeah.
Like, you know this about
And you
me.
weren't
like,
a big drinker when you were a kid either?
So, like, I wasn't a big drinker, but, like, I'm telling you, this hiding spot was, like, effective in, like, my teen years.
Oh,
like
okay.
Because they still needed to do that. But I'm not joking. Like, since I wasn't a big drinker, like my parents used to hide like boxes of Cheez-Its like behind the Captain Morgan.
Nice.
and then I would randomly go to pull out something from there, like not even a bottle, or maybe just trying to grab them the bottle. I'd be like, why the fuck are there Cheez-Its?
How old were you when you found the hiding spot?
I knew about it for a little bit. I was probably maybe like 10 or 11, but then I would just intermittently like forget about it.
Did you ever sneak food out of the hiding spot?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, the times that it got really bad though, like there were a couple other like weird pantry type places, but like my mom used to buy like those 100 calorie pack snacks of like the Oreo Chips Ahoy, like those really thin.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they were good for me. Like I liked them, but like my mom was like, these are for when we are on the road and really quick. Like these aren't to snack on like at the house. And I remember like sometimes when she was home, I'd be like, I think I'm in the clear. Like she's in the laundry room. And one time I just had like a fistful of them and she walked right into the kitchen. So what the hell, man? and I was like, yeah, you got me. That's my bad.
Fun fact about me.
Did your parents have a hiding spot?
Yeah, my mom had a couple hiding spots and I always got into them. It took me very little time to find them out because, I mean, I spent more time in the kitchen than she did. So
yeah, you're like
better.
Sherlock Scones.
Yeah, so it really reached a peak when I was in, I want to say like middle school, honestly, maybe even like 9th grade. And she put a lock on the fridge because she was tired of me getting into all of her food.
So just padlock it up.
Yeah,
like combination lock or key lock?
Like key lock. Like she had the key. And or maybe it was a padlock. I'll have to find out. But she had to open it for me. So from then on, it only lasted like 6 months because I think she got tired of it. But it did kind of teach me my lesson to be a little bit sneakier.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't teach you how to have self-control or
No.
self-discipline. It just taught you how to get. That's the funny thing with hiding food is that it doesn't teach you like the self-control.
Oh no, it just teaches you to be sneaky.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, cool. So I'm just gonna like up my mastermind class. Like, I don't know what you want from me here.
Yeah.
That's really funny. That's a good one. I didn't know what you were gonna go with there. I thought it was gonna be another flaccid teeth. But so what was your week like? It's been a crazy week.
It has been a crazy week. So I mean, this week overall, I mean, weight loss is still continuing in the right direction. I will say this is like the first time I feel like I've really started to almost feel maybe impatient about it. I feel like, I've just hit this 50-pound threshold and I'm so proud of how far I've come, but now I'm like looking at where I have left to go. And in order for me to get down to like my goal weight of where I really want to be, I still have to lose another like 60, 65 pounds.
Yeah.
And it's just daunting
when
I look at it like that.
You know what's interesting about that too is because I think that this is a common thing with weight loss, at least in our experience, is that like even when you lose a ton of weight, like because since you look at yourself every day, you're not noticing the change as much as other people. Like, and I see you every day, so like I do notice it, but since it's sort of just like you kind of. You don't really notice it. So when you lose a ton of weight and then you're looking at yourself and you're like, like I notice a difference, but I know I still have a ton to go. It really messes with your mind a ton because you're like, man, like, have I even scratched the surface? Even though you know you have.
Exactly. And I also just like, it's been, I mean, almost 20 weeks at this point, which is like kind of an absurd number of just like how much time it is.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And I have to lose this more weight than I've already lost. So that means that I'm already kind of like committing to like, I need another 20 plus weeks to really get there. And looking at it that way, it is just a lot.
Well, it's daunting. And I also just don't think it's like, well, I'm going to look at it as another 20 more weeks because realistically what we're going for now is like,
Lifetime.
Lifetime habits. Like, but that's the camp in us too. Like it's like we set it in this time frame and we're like, this is the time frame. And then like, you don't think you're cured, but you're just kind of like, this is the time I have to work with. And I think we've gotten better at like adapting sustainable habits. Like even like, obviously for me, it's very different right now because like, I'm not going to drink shakes for the rest of my goddamn life, but like at least starting to outline, like not just jumping head first in.
Right. And I kind of like, I'm in that middle zone where I do want these sustainable habits, but I am also kind of like really trying to think of ways to jumpstart another round of like weight loss.
Yeah.
And kind of keep myself from plateauing because I feel like I'm kind of at the beginning of this plateau.
Yeah. And like, do you notice like little things here and there that like, you're like, oh, I could change that? Or is it just kind of like you're just going to maybe throw in a new thing every now and again?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, obviously there are certain things that I could do to improve. And I do kind of want to take a more like thorough look at my habits over this next week and kind of think about what things I can be altering. But I do kind of just want something to change up the pace a little bit too.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I think keeps it fresh.
So, how's your week been?
It was another good week. And it's weird. Another 4 pounds this week. It seems like I feel like I'm saying that like almost every week, but but I mean, that's shake life for you. I mean, the results are there. And so I'm at 95 now, which is crazy. I mean, just 2 skips and a jump from 100. And you know what the weird thing is though, is that it's funny because when I explain my program to people and like I drink just to clear it up, like I drink 800 calories worth of shakes every day. And that's it. Like, and then maybe like an iced tea or an iced coffee with no sugar or any flavoring or anything like that, like a little bit of Splenda.
Right.
So like, that's what I do. And like, that's what I've been doing since January 28th. And so like, it is second nature to me now, but like when I explain this to people, like I can kind of hear like a little bit of like like, are you sure like that's what you should be doing? Like when I see the numbers on the scale, like it's made me worry about it less because like, I know I'm doing the right shit. So like, I know the numbers are going to be there, but like the weight loss itself isn't necessarily the important part for me. Cause like I got thin before. Mm-hmm. Like I'd lost 100 pounds by like starving myself, not doing anything, but I never had a plan for like, oh, how are you going to, live your life afterwards?
Right.
And so like what this whole program is and like what I'm gearing up for is when I get to my goal, like it's almost like kind of learning how to eat again, or learning just how to like be a functioning eater.
Yeah, I feel like
Again.
you've spent the last couple months deprogramming yourself from all these terrible habits, so now it'll be hopefully easier to build some new ones up.
Right. And so like obviously like I'm super pumped with the numbers, dude. Like of course everybody loves to see a positive result on the scale, but it means a lot less now because I know that like, yeah, this is what's happening. And like it's hard, don't get me wrong. Like it's extremely challenging, but it helped me worry about the number way less because like at least for right now, I know I'm doing the right things, and then it allows me to plan stress-free of like how am I going to attack this when I'm ready to eat again. Like
Right.
when I'm ready to eat real food again, I'm going to have an actual plan instead of just being like, well, I'm cured, pizza, everybody in the pool of pudding, you know, like and so that's really, it's been a lot of reflection, a lot of perspective this week for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's been a pretty good week for you. Have you had any cravings?
Yeah, you're goddamn right I have, man. TikTok, right? Okay,
Oh.
so the TikTok. I mean,
TikTok?
yeah, TikTok is super popular right now, and like obviously, like it is the app of right now, and there's a ton of just like.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the Kesha song.
God, you're the worst. It's so TikTok right now is so ridiculously popular. There's so many food related videos on TikTok that like I like that just come up on my feed because I'm sure they hear me talk about like wanting food, and they're just like, oh, we know what to market this fucking guy. And I saw this recipe, okay, on TikTok, and I'm going to read it out loud to you and just describe it to you.
I'm closing my eyes so I can imagine it.
Typical like Southern mother, like just really thick accent, like making a family dinner, and like just this sounded like a really deep South recipe to me. It's called Dorito pie.
Oh.
And pretty much it's like it's the Pillsbury crescent rolls, like as the crust.
Okay.
And then it's ground beef, crushed Doritos, sour cream and salsa mixed together, more crushed Doritos on top, cheese, more crushed Doritos, and then melted butter.
Just melted butter
on
like,
top of
up.
it. Melted butter on top of it. And then you fold the rolls up and it makes this like big, like flaky pastry Dorito pie, and you just throw that shit in the oven. Like, could you imagine like showing up to a party with something like that? Like, oh, what'd you bring, Diane? And it's like, oh no,
Dorito pie.
Yeah, I brought Dorito pie. Like, oh, cool, get out. Like, are you trying to kill us all? Like, this thing looked so. It's all things like, you know, like when you see something, right? And like you don't know what's in it yet. Like you just
Right.
kind of see something, you're like, that looks kind of weird. Like it's not for me. And then you realize the entire ingredient list, and you're like, oh, that's all things that I absolutely love. I'll eat the whole thing, please.
So did it look like a pie, or did it look more like a lasagna?
It looked like a pie. Like it was a circular, like, and like you put the crescent rolls in, like, I don't know, some weird like folding shit, like to make it look nice and stuff. But it looked like an actual pie. Like just taking a slice out of it also comes with a syringe to bring you back to life. Like at that point, it was honestly, I remember watching it like over and over again. I'm like, I need to stop. I need to unlike this video so that I can't find it ever again.
Yeah, you can never make it. Well, now that you've mentioned it here, there's always somewhere to go back to find the recipe.
Right, exactly. I know, because I know I'll find it.
Bet you didn't think of that.
I know I'll find it if I want. God. Yeah, I brought Dorito pie. Anybody? No. Like that's how I would have to answer that question. But what about you? What were you craving this week?
So this week I've really been craving something so specific from my childhood. So growing up, my family, me, my brother, my mom, and my grandparents would go to the same diner every single week on Friday, and I would get pretty much the exact same meal every time.
Every single time? Consistent?
Consistent. And this went from, I was probably like maybe 10 years old all the way till I was like 20 probably.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, this was like a big part of my life, was every Friday at the Omega Diner in New Hyde Park. If you live on Long Island, go check it out. But here, I'll walk you through kind of like my go-to.
Okay.
So I would always get one of their specials, and it was the chicken marsala over penne.
Ooh.
And let me tell you, I'm a chicken marsala guy to begin with.
Yeah, we love some chicken marsala, man.
But their chicken marsala, like this was a Greek restaurant.
Oh, they know how to do it.
They've had better chicken marsala than any Italian place I've ever been to. So their chicken marsala, and it was huge portions.
Yeah,
kinds of portions you should take half of it home, but you don't.
Which is prototypical diner portion.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, pay us $6 and we'll just give you a trash can full of food.
They also had and I feel really weird throwing this out during a craving segment, but they had a Greek salad.
Interesting.
And I know everybody's listening to this and they're starting to check out, but let me tell you something. This was the first salad that I could ever actually eat. Like, I could not eat salad growing up. Like, I just didn't like any salad, any dressing. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, not your jam.
But this Greek salad with this specific dressing was so good that my family would bring a small little to-go cup to the restaurant with us and ask our waiter to fill it up. Because I told my mom was like, oh, you're eating a salad. And I'm like, yeah, but I'll only eat this salad. So she brought the to-go cup so that she would have the dressing, and I was out of excuses.
That's so funny.
And then I would also get, they had this great lobster bisque.
Ooh.
So good. And then I would get an apple turnover for dessert, which I would always save until the next morning to have for breakfast.
Wow. That's a diesel like diner order too.
Yeah.
That's so dope.
And that was my order every week. No wonder.
See, you know what's funny is like because growing up on Long Island, like diners are second nature to you.
Oh my God.
You
so many good diners
like
down there.
for me, growing up in like a small town like Lakeville, like we have like Dave's Diner. Like, and you and I ate at Dave's Diner when you first moved here. That was like the week I was getting work done on my car. And like Dave's Diner is a great diner,
Yeah, it was
but
pretty
like,
good.
like unless like you live like, I mean, I'm sure other towns and like obviously closer to this, I know in the city there's like South Street Diner, but like diners just aren't as big, I think, here as they are like in a New York.
Yeah.
Like that diner life is my life. Or like when we would go to Snydersville Diner.
Oh my God. The Poconos had some good diners.
Yeah, or Billy's or
Cook's Corner.
Yeah, Cook's Corner, man. Like, so
get a diesel breakfast for $6.
I almost am very thankful that diner life wasn't as big for me because maybe I'd be dead by now. But yeah, that's a really good one. I'm glad we could talk about diners. So
thank you. So
hey, what do you think about doing a bread it and butter?
I think that sounds bread-tastic.
Are you gonna do bread puns every time?
No, you can cut that out.
So I found like you're like the Reddit guy. Like you've been on Reddit. That was your favorite social media platform. But I did find this one, and and this one was just such an interesting one to me. I'm gonna try and shorten it down, but I'll start with the intro.
Yeah, people on Reddit go on way too long.
Am I the asshole for refusing to give anyone in my family or friends fitness/weight loss advice? That's the title.
Okay.
I want to start this out by saying that I, 27 female.
Why was that important?
Well, because that's what she wrote.
Okay.
Am not a registered dietitian or personal trainer or anything. I've seen both to help me lose 50 plus pounds and to get to a healthier BMI. But anyway, so when I started losing weight, eating better for my body type, genetics, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So when she started to get her stuff together, people were noticing and people were congratulating her.
Good for her.
Back to the quote. But then I noticed that those same people would constantly ask me for my secret to losing weight. So easily. Asking for her secret to losing weight so easily.
Oh.
Okay?
No, you are not the asshole for telling them all to go fuck themselves.
So she is in the lead right now, Barry, I'll tell you what. And she says, I still have 25 more pounds to lose, and I'm trying to tell everybody what I'm doing. But then it got to a final straw when a friend asked me for advice yet again, and she said, no, I want the easy plan. And then she said she went off and said, there is no easy plan.
Good.
You either work for it or you dream about it, but you can't just sit around and expect it to happen to you.
Preach.
I also said that I'm treating it like Google, so she's just asking everybody to Google it. So she's asking, am I the asshole for refusing to give advice? Because she goes on to say, it's really long-winded, but she says that like her family is starting to criticize her and calling her selfish and saying that she should be more grateful that people are happy for her and want to know what she's doing. So she's asking both, is she the asshole and what should she do?
I love when people are assholes to somebody, but then also turn it around on them and make them think that they're the ones who are the asshole.
Right, exactly.
That's
like,
just
it's so wild to me that that one, if you're going to ask somebody for, like, don't ask the question that you don't want to hear an answer to. You know what I mean? If you want someone to tell you what you want to hear, that's what the internet's for. You can find somebody who will figure it out for you. You won't get anything out of it, but if you're going to ask like a close friend and they're going to give their take on it, that's their take.
I will say though, and so obviously she's not the asshole for telling her family to Google it, and her family is the asshole for making her feel like shit for doing that. But I am very fascinated by this idea that, like, the secret. Like, what's the secret?
Right. Like what's the magic pill?
Did you ever have people asking you that when you lost weight the first time?
Yeah, and this was actually like a huge...
But back then you had a secret.
Yeah, exactly. That was the thing, is that back then I did this so badly, and it really messed my mind up too, because when everyone's telling you like you're doing a great job, like you're an inspiration, and I knew what I was doing, I was like, oh no, what am I going to tell them?
Right.
And like I used to have like excuses locked and loaded, and my whole thing, which I still think does hold true, is just like, well, so, like different things work for different people.
Yeah.
And I would just kind of try and shift the conversation like away from it. And like I would talk about like my workouts, but I would never really talk about anything on my nutrition. And like people who were really close to me knew what was going on, but it was tough, because that is a tough question to answer. And also some people just don't want to talk about that shit.
Yeah.
Like some people just are like, let me live. You know what I mean? But the fact that someone can be like, there's a secret, and then you're like, no, there's not. And then they go, you're being selfish. Like,
here's the thing. I feel like I might have been one of those people that might have asked somebody at some point, what's your secret? And it really just came from a place of like, I really couldn't fathom that it was as simple as like, stop eating like an asshole.
right.
And you know, or just in general, like calories in, calories out.
Right. And the simple concepts that you can't get through your head, you're just hoping that there's something even more simple that just fits with you. But what
I was just waiting for somebody to tell me to like, oh, you know, rub this lotion on your hands, or you know what I mean? Like some sort of magic ointment.
Well, so I'm so happy you said that, because she asked for recommendations of what she should tell people. And I'm like, just start telling people the most ridiculous shit of all time. Like, just be like, you're not going to believe this, but if you put smushed banana in a glass of water and then into an empty Visine bottle and then put eye drops in your eyes, you're going to lose like 8 pounds a week. And just, I'm not joking. If people aren't going to listen to what you have to say, just start, like, just be like, you're not going to believe this.
Yeah.
But
bathe in CBD oil.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why it's here now.
What I want you to do is wrap yourself in saran wrap, okay? Leave a little hole for the mouth and the nose. We don't want you to suffocate. And then what you're going to do is you're going to find the biggest flight of stairs, and you're going to act like you're going to roll down it, and then you're going to go, no, I don't want to do that. And then go home, get on the scale, you'll be down 13 pounds. Like that's the kind of stuff. Because if people aren't going to, you know what? If people want the secret, hey, you asked for it.
Or just tell them the secret is ice cream. Have you ever tried having an all ice cream diet?
Honestly, but that could backfire so bad, because then people will just start eating ice cream, and then they'll gain a bunch of weight, and they'll be like, you set me up, and they'll find a way to blame you for their choice.
Look, I'll tell you right now, and I don't mind which of my friends hears me say this. If you're my friend and you take my advice, and my advice is to eat ice cream to lose weight, if you choose to take that advice, don't ever come to me.
Yeah, that's on you.
That's totally
that's
on you.
100% on you. I mean, but
it's like the people who like repost Onion articles like, I can't believe this.
Yeah, and it's funny, like a big thing is like guard your recovery. Like weight loss is a recovery journey, like just as much as it is.
I like that.
Just as much as it's a physical and mental journey. Like it's a recovery, because you and I are food addicts. Like we know that. Like we have no problem admitting now that we are recovering from being addicted to food and binge eating, and especially stuff like that. You got to guard your recovery, man. Like that's you. Like that is
absolutely,
that is your recovery. That's your journey. And guess what? Anything that makes you feel like that your recovery is in jeopardy, you shut that shit down real quick, because you owe it to yourself. And if people are going to get miffed at you for it, like it is what it is, because at the end of the day, you did this for you. Because that's where true weight loss intention should come from, you doing it for you. And you got to guard that. You got to protect that.
And just one last thing is that, you know, if somebody around you is doing something to better themselves, like don't get in their way by telling them to like
that they owe you something.
Yeah, like if you want to ask for like advice, it sounds like they really don't mind giving out that advice.
Exactly.
The problem is when your problems suddenly become their problems and they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're handling their business. Let them do them.
Right, exactly. And because, again, don't ask questions you don't want the actual answer to. So if I had to put a percentage on this, I'm not going to go 0. Okay? I'm going to go 5. I'm going to go 5%.
She's 5% the asshole?
5% the asshole, just because of, like, her saying that, like, she went off on a person. Because I understand that, like, that's basic human emotion. Like, you're going to reach a boiling point.
There's always a good way.
And you're going to freak out. But, like, at the end of the day, like, to say, like, you either want it or you don't, like, that's something I always was never really a fan of. Like, well, if you want to lose weight and you're not doing it, you obviously just don't want it.
Yeah, I feel like I could have that conversation for a long time, because there was so long where I was like, I want to lose weight. And it's weird because it's like, you want to lose weight. You don't want to put in the work to lose weight. But both of those conditions can exist at the same time.
Right, because you're not just, when you lose weight, you're not just losing the physical pounds. You are unpacking, like, however many years you've been alive of emotional baggage as well. Like, like you're trying to unpack that. So I went 5%.
I don't know, maybe like 0.5%.
Okay, that's fair.
I really don't think I think that they're entirely justifiable, but yeah, don't yell at people because
right. Yeah, maybe even 5's way too high, but I mean, it's very low.
Right.
Extremely low.
I think we could both agree on that.
So we want to move on onto our main topic, and you saw it
excited
in the
for
title.
this one.
So what's the title of this episode?
This is MTV's Fat Camp Debunked.
We are so excited for this. We spent Saturday rewatching both Fat Camps, but we are just covering MTV's Fat Camp today.
Yes, just the original. We'll cover the other one at a later date.
When we watched this and we were like, and then we were starting to outline this episode, like our minds were racing. Like it was almost like we were on coke for a second. Like we were just
such a nostalgia trip.
Yeah, exactly. We were just constantly like just rattling off stuff for this. And so for those who don't know, MTV Fat Camp was an MTV documentary series in which MTV visited the summer camp in which Strawberry and I met at. And so MTV Fat Camp followed a couple different characters who were a couple different kids. I mean, characters is weird to say in a doc, but followed a couple different kids all throughout this one particular summer. And
for context, this summer was a few years before either Seth or I went to that camp.
Right. And I believe that this summer was summer 2005 that they filmed.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
So it's summer 2005 that they filmed. And so, yeah, well before our time, but still, like, just to start off, a documentary about Fat Camp, like, I mean, that's the only other representation besides heavyweights that, like, you can kind of see. And this is real.
Right.
I mean, real in parentheses, because it's MTV and it's a doc. Like, they have to make good TV, but we're going to get into that. But just on the surface, when we were rewatching this, just the flooded memories that came back, like seeing the ground, seeing all this stuff, it really, like, at one point you even said, you were like, I kind of want to. It was like, I even thought about going back for a second.
That was it felt a little dirty, but
it was just so interesting to, like, feel that, because like we've been removed from camp for a couple years now, because I mean we're doing our thing and we're adults now, but it was weird to get that rush like that of just, man, I could get in my car and drive right now. But like what were your initial, like, I guess probably that's the thing. What were your initial thoughts when you watched the doc?
I know that it's called Fat Camp Debunked, and I know that you have a couple specific things that you're going to debunk. But I was kind of stunned by how many of the situations the kids were in that I was like, they nailed this.
Yeah.
Specifically, the one that I remember thinking like, oh my God, they nailed this, was when Tony demoted one of the JCs.
Yeah. Oh,
and I was like, and I was being in that position, both as somebody who was on the cusp of being fired, but then again as a group leader who had responsibility and was there with other staff members beneath them who were there to get fired.
Right.
Like, I've been in that conversation so many times that, like, it was just like
you felt
scary.
you felt a wide range of emotions through that whole sequence.
And from 2005 all the way through my last summer in 2018, the process and the way that he speaks and what he goes through and how he handles that business, it has not changed. It is the same, like,
yeah, it's very consistent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's consistent.
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right, exactly. But what was wild to me about, especially, I'm glad you brought that scenario up first, is like this was the girl, Braylon, who they're following her around and like she's ripping cigs like on the dock, like she's like ripping cigarettes like on the documentary, and you're just like, whoa. And then she leaves camp during evening activity one night.
Yeah,
like
that was a bold move.
You want to talk about the balls on you, man? Like that is such, like, we never even tried to do that because it's like, well, yeah, it's evening activity. Like leaving during evening activity is hard to do.
Right, skipping evening activity, not very hard.
Right, because you can make an appearance and then be like, I gotta go tie my shoes up the hill.
But for someone to leave the camp,
the
dude, audacity,
it blew my mind, and I was just like, man, that is just such a like world-class mess up, dude. Like you cannot do that. But obviously, I think we can both agree that with MTV's Fat Camp, like I do think that they got some things right. Okay, like I actually think that they got a lot right, because like again, you have to remember these are kids, like young kids, especially kids who had obviously never been on TV before. Like,
right.
It's a very, like, I think what's best is camp is a microcosm of life. Like, it's a microcosm of the real world, which we were told many times, like during our orientations, is that like it's just a mini bubble of the real world. And so things are amplified, drama is amplified.
Oh yeah.
Like it means a lot more. So this doc obviously like upplayed the drama. I do wish though that like we got more like in the bunk kind of brotherhood on boys' side, you know, like because they were in the bunks a lot, like for the girls, you know what I mean, and like obviously we don't know what their process is for shooting a doc, but it is just like some of like our best times were just like hanging out like in the bunks, like kind of just kicking it or like shooting the shit on the porch, stuff like that. Like I do wish they captured more of that, because a lot of that is for shock value.
Well, and I will say it's kind of the same problem that I think any reality show has whenever they're doing something where they're showing you part of a whole experience.
Right.
Because obviously you can't fit a whole summer into an hour and a half, 2 hours of a documentary.
Right.
So a lot of the stuff that happens just kind of ends up being cut in editing. And so you do end up left with a distorted view.
Right.
I don't think that there was really anything in there that I was like, that doesn't seem like camp. But they just didn't have all of this stuff that was more, I guess, campy.
Right. I also just like, and this is just us being close to the elephant here because we know the layout of camp like it's the back of our hands. Like it would always be so weird when like they would be like walking one way being like, I'm going to my bunk, and I'm like, you're not even heading in the right direction. Like, what are you doing? And like that was super weird to me. But of course, like the characters are I keep saying characters, but like the people they follow, it was a good mix.
Yeah.
You had Petey, who was the
Super
all-star
senior boy.
member of Douche Nation. Like he like, and
But let me tell you something, that haircut, man, changed him.
the haircut did work. I mean,
The hair really does make the
regardless. And like, again, I give the kid the benefit of the doubt. I mean, he's obviously much older than us, but like I give him the benefit of the doubt in the doc because, again, like, why would your parents let you do this? Like, why would your parents
I'm
subject
so glad you brought that up, because I'm telling you right now, if you're a parent and you sign away, like you allow a company to make, especially MTV,
right, of all companies,
to make a documentary about their formative teen years,
right,
that is going to, like, you don't know what this kid is going to do at camp. Like, that's going to follow him. I mean,
exactly. Like there
forever.
are still memes about it on the internet. And so like, of course, when we're watching the doc, we're cringing so hard because like the sideways Von Dutch hat, dude, like, no,
I mean, but that was so 2005, right?
Like, exactly. Like, and I'm looking at this kid and I'm just like, oh man, like, what are you doing, brother? Like, and then on the complete flip side for that character, you have Matt Lieber, Man, Maddie Leaves, like this guy, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
this guy is my hero, like in this doc, honestly, because at least for boy side, because
I think he was the best representation on the boy side.
oh, absolutely,
sure.
because like, and of course, like that's that general brotherhood. Like him and I were both color war generals, but
Were you a color war general?
I was
haven't heard
indeed.
about that.
Oh, we're gonna do a whole episode on it. No, yeah, we're not, but. But the thing is, like, seeing Matt Lever, like, especially like when like Petey would like try and like start shit and start drama, I would always be like, "Come on, Matt, just give him a left hook, buddy." Like, but like, I really like, I don't know, I loved Matt Lever, and then you have girl side, Diane.
Oh my God,
Diane is my spirit animal.
Yeah,
I think our spirit animal.
Yeah.
I honestly think the spirit animal of America.
Honestly, if you watch Fat Camp, I dare you to not fall in love with Diane.
You couldn't have said it any better. She is just so raw, like so just like no filter, and like she just does like it's so funny whenever she just talks about like her bunkmates, but she just was like my roommates. She's like, my roommates are being bitchy, and I'm just like, you go, Diane.
I also just loved that like her whole like everything she did. I mean, she has like no filter, like you said, and it just reminded me of some of the other campers that I had, because there were a few different campers that I had that she reminded me of, as far as like this is, and it just really brought back a lot of great memories about people that I might have forgotten about.
And I think the good thing is that, and this is something that the doc doesn't really cover, but it's just like they follow Diane and like they go for the shock value of like all the times that like she like melts down and stuff, but it's so funny to see her progression from the beginning of the doc to the end.
Absolutely.
Because that's like so many campers that we had where they come and they're like, I don't like it here. I don't like it here. I don't like it here. And then at the end of the summer, they're like really sad to leave. And then next summer, they're like the first one through the door and they're ready to go back. Yeah, exactly. Because that's what camp does. Like, is that when you're immersed in it and you give it a shot, then you kind of surrender to it. And one of the most pivotal moments in the doc is when one of the other main people who is covered, Marisa, who is quite possibly like on the doc, and like we never met Marisa, so like we don't know her personally, but like the depiction of her in the doc, what a great counselor,
right?
Like just what a good-hearted, genuine, sincere counselor who goes in, and at this one point in the doc, she obviously goes in and she stands up for Diane, who's being like, who's just
very powerful scene,
who's having a tough time because like something happened in the bunk where like her towel fell or something, and the girls were like laughing at her, and Diane felt really, really bad. And then Marisa came in, guns blazing, dude. And like we felt that, you know what I mean? Because
there are so many of those moments in camp where like your campers are kind of being shitheads to one of the other campers, and you have to really stand down and lay down the law that like this isn't how brothers act.
Yeah, exactly. And this isn't how sisters act. Like, and granted, when it came to like the body image stuff, like you and I, we didn't see that as much on boys' side, and I think it was something that a lot of our friends who were counselors on girls' side can definitely speak to a lot better.
Right.
But I really just I love that scene so much because I just loved how she went in there on a mission, and she's like, I'm shutting this shit down real quick.
And you know what? Mission accomplished.
Right, because like no matter what, like you can dream for like a rose-colored glasses camp, but like camp has like it has arguments in it. It has fights in it because that's what makes it real. Like,
right.
Like these kids are all living together when they're so used to living at home like by themselves. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of at school. A lot of them
have never been in these social situations before that they don't even know how to possibly navigate it.
Exactly. And so that scene for Marisa, and just honestly, I love the way that she curved Petey all doc, dude. And then her and Maddie Lever, man, like just Matt Lever being an oldest boys camper and color war general and like dating a junior counselor. It like good for you, man.
Kind of ran the gambit there.
Yeah, like good for you guys. Like that's awesome. Like that's really cool. Like I don't know. It just seemed like, and throughout this doc, Petey is just like kind of like insulting Marisa, and she's just kind of like, all right, see you, dude. Like I'm gonna go have a good summer, like because that's what you do.
You know what else I found very interesting? Obviously, there were some things about the camp that had changed between when that doc was filmed and when we got there. The most noticeable thing that I saw every single time it was in the shot, Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about, but I'm gonna let you finish your thought.
The vending machines.
Yeah, the diet soda,
They
dude.
could just get diet soda whenever they want.
You know what we got? We got Aquafina flavored water because
And then they took that away and gave us fucking seltzer. Like,
seltzer.
and then they were like, you know what? You don't like the seltzer, you don't get flavors at all, just regular water.
There's a Poland Spring. Oh my god, that was so funny. I remember like seeing that for the first time, being like, "There's diet soda on camp. What the hell are we doing?"
Like here's the thing. I totally get getting rid of the diet soda, but like getting rid of the flavored water, we might have to still.
Yeah, it was the whole. It was the whole artificial sweetener thing. But you know what? It's funny when you talk about things that change. There's a person in there who was there before our time as well, Joe Augusto.
Yeah,
who was.
I've heard so many things about him from all of the other people, but I've never met him myself.
Right, we've heard so many stories of Joe and how good of a guy Joe was, but never the most perfect image of this documentary, at least from a counselor view. Okay, was when they're interrogating like Braylon for leaving camp, and she's just like, "Nope, didn't do it. Nope, nope, nope." And then she cops to it later. But as she's leaving the office, Joe Augusto just deadpans the camera and goes, "We'll get her. This is what we do." Yeah. and as a counselor, a group leader, and just a staff member, I was like, "Oh, I get it."
Well, I think that's the perspective too. Is like when you're a group leader and you kind of like have those relationships with the people at the office, where you're kind of like on the same side when it comes to a lot of those things. Like it's just the thrill of catching someone in a lie when they have the audacity to lie to your face.
This is what we do, and I was just like, "Oh, Joe, that is such a good line and so fucking accurate, man."
Yeah.
Like, and the last thing on it too is what I'm really happy that they caught in this documentary is obviously during Color War, because like Color War happens and like Matt Lever and Petey end up on the same team after being like these bitter rivals like throughout and all this stuff. And like they came together and they're like, we got to go get this done. And that's kind of like what Color War is a really great thing for, of bringing people together. But what I really loved the most about it, because it happened within Color War, was Friendship Night. I was a big fan of them capturing this after a documentary filled with so much drama.
Right.
That like because Friendship Night, for obviously a lot of people who don't know, I mean, obviously our camp friends will know, but for people on the outside looking into Sorry for the Wait, like Friendship Night was a night where like you went up and you made speeches and you just talked about the value of the friends that you made that summer. And I thought that was a very important piece to capture, because that's a little bit of a look behind the curtain of why this place means so much to us.
And Friendship Night, like, I mean, there were a lot of people who would grumble about it because it did go on a little long.
Oh, yeah, it's long.
But like, let me tell you, there were so many tears, more tears than I think any other day, including like leaving day.
Oh, absolutely.
On Friendship Night.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's, especially as counselors too, and I'm sure you know this too, like there is no cooler feeling than like one of your campers getting up and talking about you in a speech and just thanking you, and you going up there, and there's something to be said there, and there's something really, really powerful there that I'm glad that they caught it. You know what I mean? Because I know that like it's a documentary for MTV. It's meant to It's meant to pop. But I mean, at the end, the hero of this entire documentary is Diane.
Right.
She is my hero.
One other thing I want to just say before we move on is that, you know, a lot of the people that are part of this documentary are people that I don't even know too many of them personally, but I do know people who know them.
Right, because that's the camp network.
Yeah, you know, and I would hate to think that, you know, people would go and kind of discover this for the first time and then make these snap judgments about kids and then go on to kind of post negative things. So if you're new to the Fat Camp experience and you watch it because you're inspired by this episode, that's great. But remember, these kids were kids, and anything that they did, as fucked up as it might have been, they were kids and they're probably different people now, and we can just leave it like that.
Right. And I think that it's important. It's almost sometimes really, really good to have that piece of evidence to look back on and be like, yeah, that's what I was. Like, I obviously, like, if I could meet Petey, I'm sure he's a good dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, of course, he probably looks back on that and goes, oh, man, like, and honestly, maybe MTV is telling a kid, like, hey, you got to play this persona up.
That's
you know
true.
what I mean? Because that's tough. And that's tough about making a documentary. Oh, God, I want to reshoot it. I want to shoot. Oh, man, I think that we could make that a new doc really, really cool. But that's for a whole nother day.
Yeah.
But you know what? I do think I'm excited to get into Return to Fat Camp, because I felt like that one was just as wild.
And we actually knew more people from that one.
Right. We did know a lot more people from that one. But you know what? That's MTV's Fat Camp debunked. I mean, that really, we just kind of wanted to use that in the title. Just
Yeah, we didn't really debunk too much.
No, we didn't really debunk anything. But but you know what? Let's go on to our last segment. New segment
alert.
New segment alert.
Wee-oo.
So this is a new one that we're trying out, and this is called My Go 3.
Oh, what does that mean?
My Go
sounds
3.
like my go-to.
It does sound like My Go 2, Barry, but you know what? 2 is almost 3, so we're just going to go with My Go 3. So My Go 3 is sort of like, it's almost like a power rankings, if you will. We're going to pick a different environment, right? So this week, the environment is the gas station. And so what My Go 3 is that if you were to stop at just a gas station, okay, like your prototypical gas station with all the snacks and drinks inside, what are your Go 3? Like, what's your top 3? Like your big 3, the things that you know you are getting every single time. Because I think that this is very subconscious. Like people are just automatically like, oh yeah, this
is. I knew mine immediately as soon as you said that.
Right. And whenever you hear different ones, you're kind of like, why would you go with, what is wrong with you? You know what I mean? And so I'm interested to see, and this is another one, like tweet us, comment on Instagram. We're going to post up what we pick on Instagram, and we want people to vote and say who's better. I really hope that I can start the season off with a win. But what is your Go 3 at the prototypical gas station?
All right, so my Go 3, check this, all right? So got to go with a Gatorade. Gatorade's like one of my Go 3s at a gas station just because of how often I was going to the gas station at camp.
Interesting.
And it's like this great hydrating thing that actually has flavor.
Yeah.
So specifically Gatorade Zero if you're at a gas station that does sell that. But
okay. So, no, hey, trust me, like the world is your oyster here.
Yeah.
Like this is, so you're going Gatorade Zero, what flavor?
I might lose some people on this, but I really like the white flavor.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't even know what that flavor is called or like what it tastes like, but
Mystery
I like it.
flavor. Oh, yeah. That's weird. Okay.
All right, well, we'll see if the people agree with me.
Okay. What's your, right. And now,
and then the 2 snacks. So first of all, my all-time favorite candy. Do you know what this is? It's my favorite candy. I don't think you're going to get this one.
Caramel M&Ms.
Yes, that was it.
Let's go.
No way.
My mother got them for you for your first stocking for Christmas when you moved here.
You're right. Yeah, so caramel M&Ms is an easy Go 3.
Okay.
It surprises me that it took M&Ms so long to release a caramel version. And as soon as I had my first caramel M&M, I was like, why would I ever have anything else?
I'm a big, obviously, peanut butter M&Ms, but I'm a big pretzel M&M guy.
And then, a little remix here.
Ooh.
Rice Krispie treat.
Whoa. You're gonna lose this one. I'm just gonna come right out with it.
We'll see about that.
That's
the internet does not like people who seem confident about them.
Dude, you pull up to a gas station and you're just like, snack, crackle, pop me, baby. Like that is, you're getting a Rice Krispie treat at a gas station?
What's your problem with Rice Krispie treats? Can you spell this out for me?
It just doesn't seem like something at a gas station that you would get. I don't know, like gas.
They have so many different varieties. You could get the chocolate drizzle, the chocolate caramel drizzle, the double chocolate drizzle. You could get the regular one. You could get the super long ones.
Whoa. That honestly, that threw me for a loop. I really didn't think you were going to go with Rice Krispies. I don't
like how much you're judging me on this.
No,
and I really hope the internet vindicates me.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not really necessarily judging you. I just like that was so out of left field for me. Like I was expecting like, oh yeah, you know, like this kind of chip. Like that was just a very different choice.
Yeah, surprisingly, I'm really not a huge chips person when it comes to the gas station. Like, I'll eat chips if they're there.
Okay.
But if I'm going in, I got to get something that's a little bit more on the sweet side.
Okay.
So what's your Go 3?
So mine is, it's funny because we matched on one. We matched on our first one, which mine's a lemon lime Gatorade.
Okay.
Lemon lime Gatorade for life. I know so many people are very against.
Not my jam.
Yeah, so many people are very against lemon lime Gatorade. Like I am partial to lemon lime and orange. Lemon lime Gatorade, like I feel like I know it's two very weird places. Yeah, that you probably see now. You know how I feel about fucking Rice Krispie treats, but like so, it's a lemon lime Gatorade. It's sour cream and onion ruffles.
Okay,
because they gotta like be ridged. None of that. Don't give me like the sour cream and onion Lays.
No,
you know what I mean. Like I hate that flat shit. You know what I mean. Like I'll blow on that shit and it'll turn into dust. Like I don't. You can say miss me with that shit. And then the last thing is a Take 5 candy bar.
Okay.
Dude, Take 5 is so underrated to me. Like Take 5 candy bars.
Honestly, I can't remember having it. Like I know I've had one at some point in my life.
It's so simple. It's obviously the chocolate outside, caramel, peanut butter, pretzel on the inside. Like that's super dope to me. Like,
Okay.
yeah, like I could put like, you know how like when you go and get a facial and like people put cucumbers on your eyes sometimes?
Oh, that kind of facial.
Yeah. Oh, God. So, and like they put the cucumbers on your eyes at the spa, and like I never knew what it did, but like just put 2 Take 5s like right on my eyes, and then I'll figure it out from there. You know what I mean? But the gas station stop is so clutch. Like it's a crucial stop because you kind of have to think about like, well, what am I doing here? Are we just stopping quick and getting right back on the road? Like you gotta have.
You can't really like wander around the gas station. Like I mean, you can.
No,
but,
no,
like,
no.
It's kind of weird to walk into a gas station and spend 10 minutes figuring out what you're gonna get.
Well, that's true. I mean, yeah, because I do think that everybody kind of has like their preset order. Like
Yeah, you're on autopilot once you walk into that place.
Ready to go. But dude, like I'm telling you, like there were times when like we would go out on nights off and like we would go somewhere and then we would obviously like stop at Wawa like at like 11:02, like 11:03, just so we could make sure we gave ourselves enough time to like get
Order
stuff
and
get back to camp. And I'll remember like going in and like grabbing stuff and then trying to contemplate like, how do I get this back into camp without my campers like rummaging through my stuff and finding this. And so what would end up happening is like we would resort to either like all eating collectively in the parking lot,
right?
Or like you would have like a string bag and you're just like, I just got to keep this. And then your self-control would
and then you have to make sure your drawstring bag doesn't crinkle and make a sound when you pass by
exactly.
the director of the camp who was waiting at the parking lot to make sure we didn't bring food in.
Or it's not an Adidas like mesh string bag where you can blatantly see what's on the inside through the holes. And I would always be like, yeah, like I think I can get this back in. And then I would be walking behind the dining hall past the dumpsters till I get to my bunk because my bunk was very close to that area. And I just remember like subconsciously, like I wouldn't even realize that I'm doing it, just eating that stuff on the way there. And then I'd get to my bunk and I'm like, oh, this shit's empty. I guess I should just go back to the dumpster and throw it out.
Honestly, it was very hard, like figuring out how to have my food at camp because just like my mom had to put a padlock on the fridge to keep me out. Like, I mean, now I have 8 of those kids living in a bunk.
Exactly.
If they even get a whiff of food, that thing is gone.
Finding like a crumb, even a crumb on like the cabin floor.
They have a sixth sense for it because I'll tell you right now, there was one time.
Sherlock Scones, man. That's a real thing.
There was one time where I always had like my my suitcase kind of standing up, stuck in between the bunk and the cabinet.
Yeah.
And I would always kind of just like leave that there just like as a storage place.
Right.
But one time I'd come back with some chips and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put this in that bag because you can't get into it without taking the bag out.
Okay.
Right.
Oh,
like
I see what you're saying.
It's wedged in there.
Yep.
So you'd have to take that out and, so I figured that's a really good spot. Nobody's taking out my suitcase and going through my suitcase.
Right, exactly.
So I had it there. Didn't eat anything because like I think the next day was like my day, like my night off, so I didn't have to eat it. And then I go to eat it like 2 days later on OD, and it's gone.
No.
Just gone.
Are you blaming camper or co-counselor?
Oh, it was a camper because I asked.
Oh. and he straight up copped to it. He was like, "Yeah, I did that shit."
Yeah. It was actually one of our campers.
You know what's funny about that though is because he had you by the balls.
Yeah.
He's
what can I do?
Yeah. He's like, "What are you gonna?" He's like, "What are you gonna do?"
It's the perfect crime.
It is the perfect crime because if you go and say, "Hey, my kid ate the contraband food that I was keeping at my bunk," they're not gonna. The kid,
yeah, they're gonna laugh you out of the.
That
place.
is awesome. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, you're gonna have to tell me this camper when we get off this, but that's super funny. And so honestly, that's a good. I like Go 3.
Yeah,
I like Go 3.
We're
gonna switch up. I honestly think the next environment might be.
Don't spoil it.
No, I want to go like I'm thinking maybe like a carnival. Maybe.
Oh,
yeah. I think maybe
I can give you my Go 3 right now.
Yeah, no, but we're gonna save it. You know what? Because we're gonna go into closing thoughts. And honestly, it was a little bit of a different episode today because like we covered MTV's Fat Camp and like not really kind of like a main like big topic, But
right.
I'm glad we took that sidebar because I think it's important to let the people who weren't at camp to at least just have a little bit of a look. I mean, it's hard to really kind of encapsulate what it was if you were never there.
Yeah.
But like that's what we're here for. Like we want people to ask us as many questions as possible about camp if you've never been or you just want to know more because it is what made us. But you know what? Until next time, I'm Seth.
And I'm Strawberry.
And this is Sorry for the Wait.